Well, we went up to England to have meetings with the Pearl of the Caribbean, as well as meetings with 3 other investors, as well as meeting with the High Commissioner, as you know, the new High Commissioner is there, and we had a meeting with the diaspora up in the UK. So the purpose of the meeting with the Pearl of the Caribbean, as exactly I've been outlining, that the only part of the project that we knew the details of up till now is the horse racing track. We had moved to the 2 new locations, which was where Il Pirata is located, and also Point Sal. And so I was given now the new plans for those areas, which I have to tell you that I was really impressed with where they're going. So based on our discussions, that he is going to formalize those arrangements, and we're proposing to have a meeting here in early March. Now the date will be announced soon, with them, as well as many of the other investors that we've been speaking to over the last couple of months, to pronounce to Saint Lucia the new investments that will be coming to this country. We met with groups in Saint Lucia, in the UK, that were interested in a free zone. We met with another group that are looking to take over properties that have been in receivership for a long time. In fact, they are here today based on the success of the meeting that we had. And so I'm very, very excited by the meeting. It was a very, very successful trip, and I came back even more encouraged. I also had the opportunity to meet with some of the families whose loved ones were involved in murders here in this country. I have to tell you, it was extremely heartbreaking, and I know many Saint Lucians are also going through this, that they feel extremely let down by the judicial system. The delays in the court hearings, the sufficiency hearings, the people not showing up, getting the dates wrong. And so you're talking about some cases 5-6 years that these murders of their loved ones have gone unresolved. And it's not that they think that a loved one is going to come back, they're just looking for closure in their life. And I've met many Saint Lucians here who are also equally frustrated by the judicial system, and that's why you will see in our budget the amount of resources that we're going to be putting in to get this situation resolved, because it is absolutely unacceptable. And you know, these are people who are forced to learn the law because they don't feel anybody else is pushing it. So it was very good for me to hear those things firsthand, to reinforce in my own mind that we're moving in the right direction. But also some of the recommendations they were making, for instance, having a liaison here that could facilitate them, because there doesn't seem to be anybody that they can go to be able to get answers. I mean, Mrs. Pratt is a prime example. And here's a lady that I think that everybody would have appreciated and recognized, that after her husband was killed, how genuinely gracious that she was to Saint Lucia, despite the fact that this is where her husband died. And now to be in a position where she has to question that initial feeling because the case remains unresolved, and that the courts are taking in a different direction, which is very different from me as Prime Minister or anybody being able to get resolved. But we have got to fix the court systems here in order that they're more of a service to the people of this country.
All right, Mr. Prime Minister, let's talk about your cabinet. In terms of your minister in the Ministry of Finance, will a decision be taken to have him either resign or step down?
As I indicated, that we're waiting. There's a pending investigation, and there's a court matter. As soon as the details are available to me and I can make a decision, we will make that decision. But up until now, I have to allow the court to take its process.
How would you characterize, the chain of events that are leading up to this criminal investigation?
Well, I think it's very unfortunate, and again, it's very easy to connect dots, but it's something that, unfortunately, I say very unfortunately, that this is not new. We've seen it repeat itself many times, and so different countries have handled the situations very differently. But right now, it is a matter that is in the courts. There is a pending investigation, and I think it would be premature on my part or anybody's part to jump to any conclusions until that evidence comes out.
Right.
And
so
once the evidence comes out, we will then react to it.
okay, and you know, yes, you're right. It is a criminal investigation. You anticipate any distractions or with the minister, because he now has to deal with the investigation and also carry on his duties? How well do you think you'll be able to balance the two?
We've not seen any, as I said to you last time, there's been certainly no distractions on my part, because I'm very clear as to what I have to wait for. I can't rush to judgment. I've got to wait to see what the situation is. So it's no point trying to cross the bridge before you get to it. You know, Mr. Raymond has been coming to work diligently and been continuing to conduct himself, and we have not seen any distractions in that regard as yet. But certainly, it's something that we would keep an eye on.
All right. Certainly not new globally, but locally there may be a little bit of a precedence here. What reaction have you received from the rest of the CARICOM community or your colleagues?
I haven't received any response from anybody from CARICOM.
I also wanted you to update the media regarding the meeting you had with the Saint Lucians in the UK, maybe some of the questions they asked, what were they most concerned about, and what was your message to them?
My message was really to update them on the affairs in Saint Lucia. I took them down the line that really the government was focusing on three primary areas in terms of building a new Saint Lucia. One is the current financial situation in Saint Lucia, in which we continue to run a deficit government. We've been borrowing quite substantially to be able to finance that deficit. The fact is that we're raising more tax monies than anybody else, but the areas that we're investing that money is not generating any rate of return. So it's how we're going to restructure our balance sheet in order for us to make something that's more sustainable. The second one is in terms of public service re-engineering, which is that we have a public service that I don't believe is running as efficient as it possibly can. You know, my wife, who I appreciate more and more every day for what she's doing to support me, but more importantly, the work that she's doing as the First Lady, has literally visited every police station and every fire station. And I think that you would be appalled to see the conditions in which these people are having to work. New buildings or semi-new buildings in which electrical wires were forgot to put in, and now you have electrical wires running through the hallways. Furniture that has been rusted and people are trying to put temporary fixes on them. No washers and dryers. Fans that are completely rusted, windows that are not working. They're washing their clothes and hanging their clothes on the inside. Desks that are termite ridden. Beds that are termite ridden. Old mattresses, no sheets. Gyms to help allow the police, the firemen to stay fit, inoperative. Not today, not yesterday, for years. And I ask myself, how do we be in a government system that allows that to happen? How do we get to that state? You go to the schools, you see the same thing. Sewage system's not working. Lights falling down, where young people are. We've heard the cases of where people have been electrocuted in some of the schools. Processes, where nobody wants to be held accountable. Are people really enthusiastic about their job? So this is not about modernizing the public service. Modernizing the public service is by putting computers in and making things more efficient. That's why we're talking about there's a complete collapse. And so it's a re-engineering of the system which has begun, and part of that process is the training that we're doing over the next 3 days for the compliance training. So change starts at the top. Okay, the easiest thing to do is to motivate the troops at the bottom that there's change, but the worst thing is if you get them motivated and then when they go to their boss goes, what are you talking about? It's business as usual. So modernizing and restructuring, re-engineering the public service. And then the third one is investment. So there's no way that the current size of our economy can yield the revenue that we need to be able to modernize Saint Lucia, to make Saint Lucia a world-class destination. We're not going to survive by being in the middle of the pack or being worst. We're only going to survive by being the best. And it's how do we generate that attitude in everybody? And it's not just the level of investment, but it's the programs that we have. I'm a big believer in sports. I'm a big believer in the creative industries. I'm a big believer in putting organized programs so that when kids leave school at 2:30, there's somewhere for them to go. I think that when you have competitive sports, right, that all of a sudden people become more disciplined, they become more focused. And in sports, you learn a lot about life. You learn about teamwork. You learn crisis management. You learn how to deal with conflicts. Okay? You learn to be competitive. You learn to lose. Right? So these are incredible values that sports and any competitive thing that you do resolves that. I believe that there are kids who are incredibly gifted in the area of entertainment and the creative industries. And we're not giving them the tools and giving them the training to be able to see that prosper. So, the event I went to yesterday, Rise, is awesome. And to see what they have done in other countries and reach out, exactly what I said. You're not going to fight or beat gangs by violence, by trying to be hard. It's about embracing them and letting them know that they're a part of our society and there's a role that they have to play. And get them to know that by contributing to society, they're going to make their own lives better. And this idea that Saint Lucians are killing Saint Lucians, who are we blaming that on? Who are we blaming that on? We run our own country. Why are we resorting to that? And shows a complete breakdown and lack of respect that we have for each other. And we may have all our differences, we may be unhappy with what our plight in life is, but does that still justify you killing somebody? And so we've got to reach out and get more people engaged, and that's why these extra activities, and they've seen the same thing. After school activities are very, very important towards this. So this is the discussion that we had with the diaspora. Questions were along the lines of the new airport tax that we're putting in, whether it applies for children. The DSH project, we had a couple of questions on that. Investment opportunities for them returning home, and the incentives that would be made available to them in terms of returning home. What they thought, what we thought the Brexit was going to offer us as a destination. So it was a healthy dialogue. There was absolutely no hostility, and we were able to spend a fair amount of time even after the event interacting. So it's the first of many interactions that we hope to have with the UK diaspora, and the same thing will apply now to Canada and the US and other parts of the region. We wanted them to know that they are part of our plan. We want to see them to be able to invest. The new sovereign fund that we're going to be creating would be a vehicle where they can invest money into the sovereign fund. We're going to be trying to negotiate with the US, the UK, and Canada that if West Indians invest into this diaspora fund, they could do it tax-free, because we would make their investment into the fund tax-free as well. So it was a very healthy dialogue.
Okay, what were some of the main concerns as it relates to the DSH project by the diaspora?
Not concerns, just clarification. The idea of Sandy Beach. They said, why have I not informed people that are we developing on Sandy Beach? I said, no. Sandy Beach is to remain a national park. They spoke about the lease for the dollar for the acre per year. And I said, yes, that's true. But that lease is for public lands. So these are for lands in which they're going to invest in infrastructure to improve those lands for public use, and there's not revenue generating. So the horse racing track is an example, right? The gentleman's going to invest over $30 million in building the horse racing track, but the money doesn't stop there. Who's going to pay the salaries of the people? Who's going to pay to feed the horses? The only revenue stream that the horse racing track will get is the lottery, but the lottery is not going to generate enough money by itself. But the horse racing track is to be an enticement in order to encourage the other investors. So the meeting that we will have in March, you will see exactly what Mr. Aking has done, which is that he's put together a master plan and gone around the world to find investors to take pieces of it. And this other idea, which is ridiculous, and they keep on talking about Chinese investment. Yes, there'll be some Chinese investment, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be Chinese contractors in all of the investments. There are Chinese contractors that are interested in building. And there are Mexican contractors, there are Saint Lucian contractors, there are American contractors, there are British contractors, a whole bunch of contractors that want to be able to do. We will collectively sit down and make the decision as to who we think is best fit to be able to do the job.
Thank you very much.
That's it.